Hey folks, I'm Rama the Demon Warship Andromeda Ascendant. Who else would it be? Welcome back to the channel and to the first episode in 2020 of On The Holodeck. I'm going to be bringing lots of games to you over this year and moving forwards from there, including revisiting some games that I started in previous years but didn't finish. But for this particular series I'm going to be starting now, we're going to be playing on Star Trek Bridge Crew. It's something that I've wanted for quite a long time and recently managed to get my hands on it. My co-host Lucian also has a copy, and another guest host that's going to be joining us, which is Lord Birkin, the Alpha Pet, my fiance. But this particular episode, what I'm going to be doing is basically giving you a little preview into the game, going through some of the tutorials and talking a little bit about the game, and then the gameplay itself will feature my co-host Lucian and a guest host, as I just mentioned. So, without further ado, let's get into the beginnings of Star Trek Bridge Crew. Okay, so here we are, Star Trek Bridge Crew. Here is my Steam library, and I'll explain why we're here and not actually in-game at the moment. Okay, so you can actually buy Star Trek Bridge Crew in Steam, but you have to have the Uplayer launcher downloaded and running as well, because if you don't have it open, then basically it won't allow you to play the game. Also, if you are playing non-VR, then there's a part of the game that wants you to do a microphone test, and it won't actually let you do the mic test if you simply use the quick launch menu in Steam to launch it. You've got to actually start it through your library, go to Bridge Crew, click play, and then play Star Trek Bridge Crew, obviously the non-VR version, and then launch. And then when you get into the actual game later, then things that weren't working will then work. So we'll wait for it to launch, and then we'll get into it. The one thing about this game is there is lots of waiting time with loading. Okay, so here we are at the start of the game, and one of the first things that it asks you to do is choose if you're using a controller or keyboard and mouse. So basically, you've got to press a button on your preferred controller. Me, I'm using a keyboard and mouse, so click on the mouse, so it knows what you're using. And then you're going to get this whole Ubisoft and, you know, the next generation kind of theme starting. But if you want to, you can pretty much skip through that just by another click, and then you get the loading menu to actually go into the game. This loading menu will come up in each scenario and takes quite a long time to go through, but here we are at Starport. It's probably Utopia Planitia, I would assume, and swinging round here is the Enterprise D. If you do have the DLC, I do recommend the DLC because you do get to play basically Enterprise D, the original Enterprise, and of course the one that the game was originally based on, which was the USS Aegis, which is kind of a it's a Kelvin timeline remake of their Enterprise, but they called it Aegis for some reason. I don't know why. So here we are. Welcome to Star Trek Bridge Crew. Please take a moment to familiarise yourself with the controls, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So okay, here, mic check, testing, 1, 2, 3. And it's gone off. That means it works. If you were using a keyboard and mouse, non-VR, and you tried that just by simply quick launching it, you would find that the mic test wouldn't work. So we're not going to actually go into any matches or anything at the moment. Like I said, that's what we're going to do with the rest of my co-hosts. There's the Aegis over there. Oh no, yep, that's the Aegis right over there. I'm coming back around. So now we're going to go on to, we're going to focus on the training parts just to get you all familiar. Most of them do work in a similar kind of way. When you actually get further into the game, the solo adventures, quick matches, custom lobby, there aren't a great deal of missions to choose from. You can do them with any ship, it doesn't really matter. The one thing that lets this game down is there's not a great big story. There's not, several missions like there are, say for example, with Star Trek Online or something. There's like 5 or 6 missions and that's about it. The only thing that gives it a slight different edge is the interaction with whoever you're playing with. So each game can be different depending on how it's played, but there aren't many to choose from. So anyway, straight in with the training. Off we go. Depending on which ship you choose as well, depends on which loading screen you get. If you go for the original Enterprise, you get a different starting screen. If you go for TNG, then there's a different starting screen for that as well, and all the controls are different to represent each. But we'll get into that when we actually start gaming. In the next episodes. This is just the preview, the prelude to what's coming soon. Just to get y'all a little bit familiar with it. Oh, is it gonna load? And yeah, the lines on the screen are actually there on purpose. They spin with the loading screen as well. So that is not my screen doing that. That is supposed to be there. I hear music. Here we are, on the bridge of the USS Aegis.
Welcome to the Starfleet Training Simulator.
Thank you.
Our system is currently configured to train command crew of Aegis-class starships. Here you may learn about the roles and responsibilities of each officer on the bridge, and how to operate all of the controls of their command station.
Yes.
Feel free to experiment and get comfortable with the ship here in the simulator before moving on to the real thing.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the first role on the menu is, of course, the captain. So let's go for that.
As captain, you are in overall command of the crew. It is your responsibility to communicate with and to coordinate the actions of the other officers on the bridge. You'll receive important updates on mission status and also have direct control of the main view screen.
This is going to be my role, of course. So here we go. Topics complete. 0 out of 12. Objectives.
The captain's objectives feed contains vital information about your ship's mission. Updates from support crew and Starfleet Command are reflected here, so that you will always know what your crew needs to accomplish. Open the objectives feed now.
Which is this button right here.
Some objectives also have more detailed information. Sometimes you, as captain, must choose between different ways to complete an objective and direct your crew accordingly. In all cases, your crew depends on you to keep them informed of their goals. Select the objective for more information.
That actually appeared very quickly. Usually it says, your objectives have been updated. Then it's like, no, they haven't. Oh, wait, there it is. So
sometimes you will receive additional information to help with your mission. Keep an eye out for your intel feed, located near your objective readout for tips and hints.
And now moving on to the next one. I'm not sure if it is actually in this training mission, so if it's not, I'm just going to give you a quick heads up. If you want to know what each button does whilst you're in play, especially if you're going to be using the original Enterprise one, because everything literally comes up as Christmas tree lights, you just press F1 and it tells you what each button does, basically. But we're going to take that off for the moment and continue with them. So the next one is hailing.
As captain, you can answer a hail when messages from Starfleet or other ships are received. If the message is accompanied by video, it will be displayed on the main view screen. Answer the incoming hail now.
That's that little yellow button right there.
Aegis, this is Captain Uku of USS Huxley. Our system checks are complete. We're ready to go. We'll stand by and follow you out when you're ready.
Which is one of the games that you will be doing when you get to the gaming part. That is actually from a genuine mission. External view.
At any time while on the bridge, you can use an external view to see what is going on outside and around the ship.
I don't recommend doing this, but there you go. Space, you can look around. You can go all the way to the left and then stop, and all the way to the right and stop. And you can go up and then down onto the hull, which is kind of a little bit silly because you might want to check underneath you as well. But hey ho, let's go back inside. 3 out of 12 done. The next one will be ship status.
As captain, you can access basic information about your ship's status. Open your status displays now.
Here it is.
The status information available to you is helpful,
objectives.
but no substitute for the more detailed knowledge of your chief engineer.
And that one's done. So that basically tells you what your hull is, shields, how many torpedoes you've got left, where your detectable range is, and gives you warnings about the environment, sort of like basically fires on decks and stuff, and where your power levels are. And you can do that, look around and see all of your staff. Nobody over that side. Kind of looks like a holodeck, doesn't it? I guess it is, it's training. Okay, so let's take off the status and go to local
As
map.
captain, you have the same maps at your fingertips as your helm and tactical officers. You may use these to aid communication, to identify a target for tactical, or to specify a destination for helm. Targets and nearby destinations are selected from the local map, which shows objects of interest around you. Open the local map view.
There it is.
Now touch any object on the map to select it as your target.
Let's select that bird of prey.
Some orders
right
you
there.
give to the crew require you to first designate a target or destination, exactly as you just did.
Done. Next. AI crew. This is
When
gonna be
playing
interesting.
alone or with AI members of the command crew, the captain gives orders to the AI officers.
can
To
actually
give
play
an
this
order
game
to a
instantly
specific
by
officer,
using the AI
look
crew.
at them and use the orders system to select from the available commands. Remember, some commands will first require that you select a target or destination. Try ordering your chief engineer to prioritize power to engines. Some orders apply to the entire crew. To access these orders, look towards the central console in front of you. First, select the closest ship from your local map. Then try ordering the crew to investigate it.
Okay, so interact with the engineer and select power to engines. Off we go. Highlight the engineer, click on them. Power to
Open
engines.
the local map view.
Power
we
to
go.
engines.
Opening local map. Select a target. And then we need the center console here. Analyze target.
Locking on target.
And it will actually
Initiating
move this
scan.
way. Yay! It will also get the helm to go closer as well.
Scan complete.
There you go. Scan's complete.
Impulse engines allow the ship to rapidly traverse great distances within a star system. When playing with an AI crew, you will need to choose a destination and give the orders to prepare for and initiate impulse travel. First, choose a destination from your impulse map. You
Second
need to
button.
select a destination from the impulse map.
Alpha Prime. And we're already here. That's where the badge is. So we're going to select the debris.
Now give the order to prepare for impulse. Your chief engineer will give more power to the engines, and your helmsman will lay in a course and align the ship.
So we go to the center console.
Tell the crew to engage impulse flight.
Making ready for impulse.
And then wait for it to line up. Which can sometimes take a time.
Course plotted.
And wait
On
for it
your
to get
mark.
right in the middle. Well, it doesn't have to be right in the middle, but it's a better result. And
Aye,
boom,
aye, Captain.
engaging. Off we go. Cassie's basically got it easy. Okay, so 7 out of 12 done. Let's try the warp.
The ship's warp drive can generate a warp field, distorting space around the Aegis and allowing you to travel to other star systems much faster than the speed of light. When playing with an AI crew, the captain chooses a destination and gives the orders to prepare for and initiate warp travel. Always bear in mind that charging the warp coils consumes most of the ship's power. The Aegis will not be able to maintain a full combat stance during these critical seconds. To go to warp, first choose a destination from your
Open the
warp
warp.
map.
So
You
we're already in
need to
Alpha,
select a
we need to go
destination
to
from the warp
Beta.
map. Now give the order to prepare for warp. Your
That's the
chief
middle
engineer
console.
will direct
Okay.
power to the warp coils, and your helmsman will lay in a course and align the ship to the correct heading. Now tell your crew to engage the warp drive.
Course laid in,
ready.
Captain.
Warp coils are ready.
Aye, aye.
Off we go. 3, 2, 1. I do recommend, if you haven't played this game, to actually go through these tutorials, but this is kind of why I'm going all the way through them for you. So now we're on to the view screen next. So let's close the warp menu and open the view screen.
Captains have control of the main view screen. You may choose to display any of several different overlays on the view screen, with information about your ship's system status. Try the different views and overlays available. Open your view screen controls now. The target and magnify views only work when you are targeting another ship or object. Magnify provides an up-close view of your selected target. Target view provides enhanced situational awareness, showing both your own ship and your target at once.
I always recommend when you're in-game to put the navigation on screen, because then you can see your speed and heading, which helps you in-game. But moving on, taking over the AI.
Sometimes, as captain, you may wish to take temporary control over another command station. This allows you to perform any of the functions of that role. Then return to the captain's chair when ready. You cannot, however, take control of a station currently being operated by another player. To take control of another station, look at any of your AI command crew and activate orders mode. Now choose the Take Over option. You can return to the captain's chair at any time by tapping the orders mode button again.
So, look at the helm, take over, and then press delete, which is the key I have to go back to captain. Done that one. Pretty simple. Red alert.
In emergency situations, you can sound a red alert to notify your ship's crew. If you are playing with an AI as tactical officer, she will interpret a red alert as a request to prepare for combat. Try activating red alert now.
Oh, I love this one. Here is the klaxon.
Understood. Shields up. Arming torpedoes.
Pretty simple. And then the final one, number 12, help overlay. Here we are. Press F1 to do the overlay. And then off again. And there we are. We have done the training complete for the captain. So the next one will be station menu, helm, then tactical, and then we'll be moving to engineer. Okay, once we've gone through this, I will actually show you a part that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. When you're actually in gameplay, if you're using the AI crew, you used to be able to give voice commands, which is what the mic test is actually for, so that you can speak to the AI crew. Because if you're actually playing with real crew, then basically you're speaking to each other connected anyway, so it doesn't make much difference, which you can do in-game, but it's often worth turning the in-game volume for crew down, because you're probably already connected using whichever social media platform you're using. But there's basically a server being used for the voice commands, and unfortunately that server isn't supported at the moment, or at least anymore, so we don't know when it's going to be coming back, but it used to basically route through the server and then come back so that it would interact with the game. Unfortunately that isn't working now, but let's move on to the next tutorial and have a look at the helm. Hopefully this will work, because sometimes it does glitch, but only in the tutorial. I did a test record a couple of minutes ago before we started this, and it did actually work, so I'm hoping it's going to work again.
As helmsman, you are the ship's navigator, responsible for maneuvering the ship and navigating within and between star systems. Your crew depends on you to get the ship wherever needed, to avoid collisions with hazards in space, and to maneuver for tactical advantage in combat situations.
Okay, what he said. Okay, so we have 6 topics to complete in this one. Let's have a look at local
Your
map.
local map can be used to mark ships and objects as waypoints, to check your proximity to hazards, and gauge when you are close to being detected by hostiles. Touch any target on the map to select it.
There's a Klingon there. Let's go click it. There it is. And we've done that one. Okay. Oh, by the way, the map here, you can zoom in and out, but there isn't much. I always like having it zoomed in, but I wouldn't be playing this role anyway. So let's get on to maneuvering.
Your basic maneuvering controls allow you to give the ship forward or reverse thrust, to steer the ship to port or starboard, and to move the ship up or down on its vertical axis. The amount of thrust you can give depends on the amount of power your chief engineer allocates to engines. The more power your engines have, the more responsive the ship will be. Maneuvering controls are only available when your local map view is active. The throttle controls your speed, and also allows you to reverse or make a full stop.
I'm gonna go face that pretty planet. A big red ball of fire. Let's go towards it just a little bit. 2000's all we got. It would take forever to get there at that speed, but there you go, full stop. Let's learn about impulse.
Your ship's impulse drive allows you to travel quickly between planets and other points of interest within a star system. To travel via impulse, you will first need to plot a course by choosing a destination on the impulse map. Once the course is plotted, you will then need to align your ship with the appropriate heading and engage the impulse drive. Be aware, the impulse drive cannot be engaged unless the chief engineer has allocated sufficient power. Switch to your impulse map.
Here we go.
Select any point of interest in the star system to plot a
Beta
course to
Prime.
that destination.
And let's go to the
Now
Alpha.
return to the local view and steer the ship to line up with your plotted course.
There you go, course plotted. Now, turn the ship into it. I'll probably way overshoot the mark. There it is. A little bit more. There she is.
Grab and push your throttle to engage the impulse drive.
Now this is a part that I'm
The ship's
hoping
computer will
work properly.
automatically follow the
Because
course
last
you
time it
plotted.
glitched, it just kept going round and round and round and round and round forever. So, fingers crossed. Did it work? Apparently here we are. And yet we didn't actually move anywhere, which is quite fun. But at least it did it. Okay, so now warp travel, which is pretty
The
much
ship's
the same.
warp drive can distort space around the ship to
Let's beat
propel
into
it
the punch,
faster
shall we?
than
Select
light
the warp menu.
across the vast distances between
know,
star
okay, going ahead.
systems. The tremendous amount of energy needed for warp travel will require you to coordinate closely with the chief engineer. To
That's
travel by
that
warp,
person.
it is
Over
your
there.
responsibility to plot a course by selecting a star system on your warp map. When the course is plotted, you will need to align the ship with the proper heading. Before you can enter warp, your chief engineer will have to prepare the ship and charge the warp coils. Select a star system to plot a course to it.
Well, we're already at
Now
Delta, so
return
now we
to
have
the
to go
local
to
view
Alpha.
and steer the ship to line up
There you
with
go,
your
warp
plotted
coils are already
course.
charging. Let's turn into...
Push your throttle to engage the warp drive. The warp coils can only remain charged for a limited time. The chief engineer will need to prepare the ship for warp again.
So basically, as soon as you stop shouting... And punch it. It looks a little bit skewy because you're at the side. But display instead. 2 more. Ship signatures and then help overlay.
Various
We already know
systems of
help
the ship
overlay.
affect how easily
That's
other
wonderful.
vessels can detect the Aegis. The Aegis is designed to avoid detection at ranges where other Federation vessels would be easily visible to another ship's sensors. As
Carry on
helmsman,
all
the
systems.
more thrust you are using, the farther away the Aegis can be detected. On your local map, you'll see a ring that expands and contracts as the ship's signature increases or decreases. When other ships come within that ring, they will detect the Aegis.
And that's it done for this one, apart from the help overlay, which will be the F1 key. Turn it on and off, and done. We've done all of them. Now we'll go back to the station menu. And go in for... Oops. We need to get rid of that one. Now it's time to do something fun. Tactical, shooting things.
As the tactical officer, you are in charge of the ship's weapons, defenses, and scanners.
Notice
In
we still
combat
read a little
situations,
earlier.
you must coordinate with the rest of the bridge crew to protect the ship and deal with any threats to it. But you also have a crucial role in non-combat situations. It is the tactical officer's responsibility to scan nearby ships and other objects in the environment to reveal vital information about them.
Okay, so
In
selecting
order to
targets.
scan anything or to fire on it, you must first target it. To select a target, simply select the appropriate icon on your map. Once you've selected a target, a display will show all currently known information about your selection. Target a nearby ship by tapping its icon on the map.
Give me one. There it is. And we targeted. Scanning.
You will often need to scan a target to learn more about it. or to locate people or objects of interest in another vessel. Some objects are scanned with a simple, general scanning action. This happens automatically when the object is targeted. More complex objects, like other ships, can be scanned for specific properties, such as the locations of any weak points in a ship's system. When an object has many features to scan, scanning them all at once is much slower than scanning a single specific system. Scanning is required before it's possible to transport people or cargo off of another vessel, or before being able to target weak spots of an enemy's ship systems. Target a nearby ship by tapping its icon on the map.
There we go.
Here
Target
you
it.
can select what systems you want to scan. Scanning a single system will always be faster than scanning multiple at once. Also, the closer the ship is to the target, the faster you can scan. Scan the ship's engines now to reveal their status, and any weak points which would allow you to damage the engines directly.
So basically, deselect life signs and click scan. Because it said only engines. Da-da-da-da. Shields.
As tactical officer, you have control over raising and lowering the ship's shields. When raised, the shields will charge up to maximum strength over time.
Shields are currently
They are your
100%.
best defense against damage to the ship. When shields are lowered
When he
or
stops
down
rambling,
to
basically
zero
this little
strength,
button right here.
any damage to the ship may cause serious harm to onboard systems, or even loss of life to your crew. When shields are raised, the chief engineer can direct power to them to increase their effectiveness. Raise the shields now.
Well, I'm actually going to have to take them off. Oh, he did it for me.
There is a delay
Shields.
while power is channeled into the shield emitters before the shields come online. In a combat situation, remember that you need to raise shields
Never have to
before
disable
the enemy fires.
And there you go, shields are up. So we're on 3 out of 10. Let's go for torpedoes.
Photon torpedoes are a devastating weapon. They can automatically track a moving
These
target
thingies here.
and deliver heavy damage on impact. However, before you can fire them, you must first give the order to arm them.
Where's the
Arm your
captain?
torpedoes
Oh, he's
now.
just taking them off. So there we go.
Each
slide
torpedo
across.
tube
Armed.
takes time to load. Your supply of
long
torpedoes
time
for
to
any
load.
mission is limited, so use them wisely. Target the nearby ship and fire torpedoes at it.
Woohoo! Okay, so same Klingon. 1 and 2. And it's gonna go kaboom. Because we're pretty much nowhere near it. Ooh, we got his shields down. There we go. So, that was torpedoes. Let's have a look at
Phasers are a versatile energy weapon. They continually charge over time, and when fully charged, your phaser banks hold enough energy to fire multiple shots at your target. Phaser banks automatically track your target, but only if it is within the indicated firing arc and within the current range of your weapons.
There's your
The
firing
effective
arc.
range and damage of your phasers is controlled by the amount of energy the chief engineer allocates to them. Target the nearby ship and fire phasers at it.
Let's go. There's 1 burst, 2 burst. Ashton, 3 burst. Targeting subsystems. This is
Phasers can be used to precisely target weak spots of another vessel. To use this ability, you must first scan the desired subsystem of a target, such as its weapons or engines. Once scanned, you must then select that system. As long as a scanned system is selected, phasers will auto-target that system's weak points. To hit a subsystem, the target's shields must be down or inactive. Second, your ship must be correctly facing the targeted point. If the target's shields are raised, or you are attacking from the wrong angle, firing in subsystem targeting mode will do minimal damage. When dealing with other ships, targeting individual systems is a good way to disable them or neutralize a threat without outright destroying the ship. This may sometimes be necessary to accomplish your mission objectives. Target the nearby ship and scan its weapons systems.
So, we want the weapons active, and the other one's not. Very quickly scan it.
Now select the ship's weapon systems to lock on to their weak points. Your phasers are now in subsystem targeting mode. Fire them for a precision attack. Until the target's shields are down, you will not be able to hit the targeted system.
So, you know, just a little bit of the shields went down. So, take those off. Fire first. no, we gotta wait until they... we gotta wait now until the phases power up again. This can be quite boring in the game, but if you already know what you're doing, it don't matter. But this is good in-game, like he said, if you only want to attack certain parts of the enemies and destroying them. So you can take the weapons offline, they can't shoot at you, but you can beam people off because the shields are down, which is good. So, shields facing away. Now you just gotta wait for it to load up. There we go, got enough for one. And it looks like they've still got a little bit of shields left. Yep, 4% of shields, which is up here. Let's see if we can take it down with this shot.
Very good. You damaged the targeted system.
Yay! Okay, ship's signature.
Various systems of the ship
is your
affect
ship,
how
but you're on.
easily other vessels can detect the Aegis. The Aegis is designed to avoid detection at ranges where other Federation vessels would be easily visible to another ship's sensors. As tactical officer, arming torpedoes, firing weapons, and activating shields
uses power.
will each make the ship detectable from greater distances. To reduce the ship's signature, disarm torpedoes and lower shields now.
Take those off. And take the shields down. And the arc goes smaller. Which it hasn't visually represented there, but that should basically go smaller. System intrusion. This
The
is one I
Aegis's
like. I really like
prototype
this one.
remote intrusion system can be used to send encoded signals and disrupt critical systems of other ships. Before it can be used, the tactical officer must scan the target. Once a scanned target is selected, an intrusion into its control systems is attempted via an automated routine. If successful, you may then choose to attempt any of the available disruption routines to temporarily cripple a specific system. Activate the remote intrusion system. Target a nearby ship by tapping its icon on the map.
I'm going to scan all of them. Not just a single one. All of them.
Select a scan target. Choose a disruption routine to inject into the target systems.
I would always think disable weapons is a really good one. And then
Very good.
disrupt.
But once used, the remote intrusion system will be fully occupied and unable to disrupt another target or system for some time.
So the weapons are 100%, but they're offline, pretty much. Transporter.
Your ship is equipped with standard transporters for beaming objects or personnel aboard from other vessels or locations. Transporting first requires the tactical officer to scan the target vessel or location. If any mission-critical items or personnel to transport, the target will appear on the transporter interface. It will take time to acquire a lock-on before you can beam, and you must remain in range for the lock to succeed. The transporter cannot penetrate through your ship's own shields or those of another ship, so you must coordinate with tactical to make sure your shields are down when you need to transport. If you are attempting to beam something from a hostile vessel, your crew will first have to disable its shields. Activate the transporter interface. Target a nearby ship by tapping its icon on the map.
I believe that engineering and helm can also do the system intrusion and transporting, but since we're just on this one at the moment, and let's go for full tactical scan. We only really needed to do life science on this one, but we're going for a full one, why not?
Select the damaged ship from the list of targets.
There it is.
Lock on to the survivors aboard the ship to prepare for transport.
24
To lock on, your ship must be in transport range and unshielded. The target's shield, if any, must also be down.
Transport range, I believe, is 10 kilometers, maybe 6. I think it's 6. And you can only transport 6 people at a time. Although I believe on the TNG you can transport 12, perhaps. But on the
You have transporter lock on the survivors.
Energize.
Give the order to energize. The survivors are now safely aboard the Aegis, but you can only transport 6 at a time. Anytime there are more than 6 targets to transport from a single vessel, you will need to perform multiple transport cycles.
I'm going to be in the model board before we carry on. No, I'm not. Basically, same one with this one. Help overlay, F1. All done. Back to the station menu, and now we're going to go to Engineer.
As Chief
Fourth
Engineer,
and final one.
you support all other members of the bridge
This one
crew
can get a little
by
bit
keeping the Aegis operating in top condition. You
confusing for
monitor
some.
vital status information about the ship's systems, allocate power needed for
transporter
maneuvering and
systems,
combat,
systems are both
and
there,
manage
they
the
can
ship's power grid to compensate for damage or boost its capabilities. You also manage the ship's repair teams and keep an eye on how visible the Aegis is to other ships in the area.
Okay, so we have 7 topics for this one. System display.
Your system's display gives vital information about the status of the ship's various systems at all times. When your ship is suffering from negative effects, this panel provides information about the source and severity of the effect. As Chief Engineer, you have more detail about your ship's status than any other member of the crew. Activate your
Apart from the
system's
captain.
display
Yeah.
now.
Turn it on. This one basically shows you in all areas what's going on, but unfortunately you can't click or do anything about it. But if the section's damaged, it will show you on there, and then we'll go through how to actually use them. So, power allocation.
How you allocate power determines how effective each of those systems is.
All at
As
0.
situations change,
Well, 1.
you'll need to communicate with the rest of the crew to keep them supplied with power and to anticipate when to make critical adjustments. One of your most essential responsibilities as Chief Engineer is to distribute available power between each of the ship's major systems. Try giving maximum power to engines now.
Straight to the top. You can either slide them up if you want to, or just go straight
Now
to the top.
try
and take
giving maximum power to shields. You will have to reduce power to other
Oh
systems
no,
first.
we can't do that. Take that down. Maximum power to shields. See? Simple. Let's go for warp.
Before the ship can travel between star systems, you must make the ship ready and charge its warp coils. This draws a tremendous amount of power, and you will be
Huge amount of
unable
power.
to make any further changes to power allocation or routing while prepping for warp. Begin preparing for warp now. Charge
Onto
the
the
warp
warp menu.
coils.
Charge coils.
The helmsman will have a limited time to engage the warp drive,
Oh no,
or the
everything's locked
coils
out.
will automatically discharge to prevent damage to the ship.
Warp coils charged.
And of course it ain't gonna do shit, because we ain't going nowhere. So, repair
When the
system.
ship sustains damage, it's up to you to deploy repair crews and get critical systems back in working order. You have a limited number of crews available. You may send multiple crews to repair a single system faster, or you may spread them out to work on multiple systems at once. Activate your repair controls
There they
now.
are.
We have simulated damage to your phaser banks and scanners.
Basically got
Assign
3
repair
repair
crews to both systems to get them back to full working condition.
So, 1 over to phaser banks, and 1 over to scanners. But you can actually put 2 if you want to, and make the time go quicker. That is done.
Phaser array restored. Sensor array restored.
All done, and then if you want to reset, they all come back here. Now, some of the other ships, especially the TNG ship, really need a tutorial, and they haven't got them because the systems are completely different. So one of the episodes that I will do could be a tutorial how to use those systems as well. But it's hard to do a tutorial in mission. So next one, rerouting
It's possible
power.
to increase the power to one or more systems beyond normal safe operating limits by rerouting the ship's power grid. Switch to rerouting mode now. Try diverting extra power to shields by dragging an adjacent power node over to it.
So from engineering to
You have increased maximum shield strength by drawing some power from other systems. This situation is risky, though. The extra power flowing through those conduits could cause internal damage. When you use the
lots of
rerouting
damage.
system, you must keep an eye on the power grid and be ready to make changes as needed.
hell yeah. Reset. And I'm going to take those all down as well. But it don't matter because we ain't going nowhere. Ship
Various
signature.
systems
This is
of the
about
ship
how
affect
fast-
how easily
how far
other
we can
vessels can
see.
detect the Aegis. The Aegis is designed to avoid detection
10 kilometers
at
at the
ranges
moment.
where other Federation vessels would be easily visible to another ship's sensors. As Chief Engineer, You can monitor all systems which are affecting the ship's signature, and gauge the range at which the Aegis will be detectable to other vessels. This information is vital when trying to avoid contact with hostile ships.
So if shields were actually up, then basically that 10 kilometers would go huge. Power to engines. But basically there's one command that you can give as captain which basically says reduce signature, and basically what it means for the rest of the crew is to turn everything down to minimal if you can. So the 7th and final one is, as we did before, help overlay, and all that is the F1 key to show you where all of the buttons are, and off again. So back to the station menu. We have now done all of these, so let's quit back to the main menu. Loading screen, it's going to take forever again. Actually, it's a little bit quicker going into menus rather than into games, because it's just basically going, oh yeah. So here we are back at the beginning, and just a quick overhaul. We've got the credits for the game. DLC is enabled. If you've bought it, that button will be there. You've got your quit button, which we use in the mic check, select region, which will ask you about basically where you're from in the world, and it will change the language as well. I think it also changes audio language. Different maps we can use. The solo adventure, custom lobby, where you can create private games, so there's only invite only, or you can let it basically find one itself and just join an existing crew. I'm currently at captain level, so I have built up through a couple of games playing with my co-host before we bring you the episodes, just to familiarise ourselves with it. And you can also change your avatar as well. At the moment, mine, I believe, is a female AI, duh. But I'm just going to very quickly show you. And yeah, she's a very much data kind of looking character, pretty much. But there's loads of stuff that you can change in there. I'm not actually going to go through with it at the moment. But you can randomise it. You can change the hair, change the eyes. Lots of different things you can do on there. So let's go off that, and that's pretty much the preview introduction to Star Trek Bridge Crew. So stay tuned for the first episode, when I will be having my co-host Lucian, and hopefully another guest host with us as well, so that we can pretty much fill the bridge. I've got to teach the guest host to actually play some of these at the moment, which includes taking them through the tutorial, and hopefully they'll be taking over the helm, because engineering can be a little bit big for someone who hasn't played it before. Lucian has already played several of the roles and has decided to choose tactical, which is brilliant, and he is actually quite good at it, so I can't wait to bring you those episodes. We're going to go through several of the missions and use several different ships. It's quite funny when we were using the TOS ship, because wow, the buttons are just everywhere and didn't tell you what they are, and it's quite confusing, so it's very funny. But until that episode comes along, the only thing left for me to say is dismiss. That's the Starfleet expression for get the hell out of here, training done.